point where you're like, should have teleported there. And Yukao, he's been a bit up and down, but when he's been up, he's been super, super solid. And I'm wondering whether or not we're going to see Afreeca go for a similar draft. Honestly, though, just first pick Sion at this point.
I
like,
know. Sion's so good, dude. I'm a huge fan now.
Joking. If you can flex it, sure. Don't love this, though. Don't. Guys.
You can throw it into the support role as well. Why not?
No. I think life.
It's been done.
I think life could pull it off, but that's.
You go like Callista Sion.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Sion Senna.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Because it's
there you go.
Senna. Yeah. Or fasting Senna.
Of course, yeah.
Again, so we gave Gen G a pass for this. We're not going to give KT a pass for this. I'm not a fan of the Seraphine ban on blue side. It is too good a champion to ban away. But they're going to do it anyway, unfortunately, which to me signals that they don't want to first pick it. And let's be honest, if you don't first pick it, Afreeca Freecs will pick it up and probably win the game with it. So a bit unfortunate there. The Gragas already taken away here, which does kind of alleviate some of the flex potential that Afreeca does have. And I would like to see Afreeca go for a similar comp. That first game showed to me that their team fighting, today at least, pretty on point. And if you have a comp that just kind of plays itself, that super forward, straight up front to back, it's good enough for me. You know, as Afreeca, I think they should kind of accept where they are at the moment. They're a team that does still make some pivotal errors. Even in the last game, we saw that with Ben getting caught. Just draft something easy.
Yeah, just, move it straight forward.
Yeah.
And just don't mess with it, really. We're going to have Udyr banned as well, so even in the analysis, they were talking about how they felt like Lily is like the next most OP champ after Udyr, and they're both going to get banned out here, so neither of them available. You might want to prioritize something like a Nidalee that's left available, or do you go for the Kai'Sa? Do you feel worried about the counter with the Tristana that we're seeing so much? What are you thinking?
That's an interesting question. I feel like the Kai'Sa is still fine.
Ooh.
Okay. So the Alistar combos really well with both the aforementioned Tristana, and maybe we've reached a point in the meta where there was the Xayah that we've seen before. Oh yeah, just the Phelios Fresh. I would not mind it at all. Specifically because I think that Bang and Lahans have shown that they can actually match up to Hybrid and Zeus in a purely like 2v2 situation.
Yeah.
The downside of this though, okay, never mind. I was about to say the downside of this, that Bang is kind of prone to being caught. I think we can safely say that after last series, and it's been a consistent problem for them throughout the split.
Yeah.
So then play an immobile AD carry, even with Fresh, it's a bit of a risk.
Yeah, seems a little bit dire.
It does.
Want to avoid that. We're going to have Kai'Sa and Galio as the follow-up here. So speaking of things that can be flexed, the Galio, another one of those tanky guys. This guy usually either mid or support rather than mid and top. As we actually had the Samira first banned by Afreeca in game number 1. But still considering it here as hybrid, and he is going to pick it up alongside of the Alistar.
So I think that the Samira and the Alistar is a really strong lane, but I don't love picking Samira into Galio, because one of the key things of Samira is that you want to not be CC'd and you want to move into melee range, right?
Yeah, well.
And Galio is like, yes, I would very much like that. That will make me a very happy gargoyle. And I feel like it's still salvageable. Your 2v2 will be somewhat neutralized, but I think you will still have prio just for like the sheer threat of your all-in. But it does mean that I had the Graves as well. I'm not loving what I'm seeing here from KT early on. I feel like you're taking a pretty big risk with two of these picks where, unless you're Canyon, I think the Graves does actually need to find an early lead. And otherwise you're not going to have too much of an impact on the game. And then we have the Samira that definitely needs to find a lead. So as KT, you're going into a similar position that you were in game number 1. Now the real question is Sion going to get banned? I actually think it will be.
I hope so. I mean, there's still a couple of, the top and the mid lanes that you would consider would be the left open picks. Obviously, the Galio can be flexed down bot. I think you just go ahead and ban it. They already have the Gragas banned.
There we go.
There it is. So I think we're all on the same page where this feels good. Like, this is a good ban, I think, in this case.
And Victor ban might not be completely surprising here from Afreeca Freecs, just because you're playing against Yukal again. And one of the key things for KT last game was that they didn't really have anything in the late game that could really carry them through. Right, there's a lot of mid-game power, but not really late-game power. And the Victor does definitely provide it. It's also a huge comfort for UCal, and they will ban it away. I don't think that's a super surprising one. And what do you do here then? Do you ban away something like the Gnar, which I don't think it's like ban worthy, but I do know that teams like to ban it, right? Just so it makes your setup a little bit easier. Do you want to go for something like the Orianna and then really limit the mid lane pool? Although then Fly's probably just going to pick up Syndra and we're going to collectively... Oh.
Okay.
Honestly, I hope Fly plays on a tank again. I'm not even joking. Like, that would make me a very happy man.
Yeah, because you're either playing against, like, Syndra or Zoe.
Yeah.
Like, what else are you going to face in the mid lane in the current mid-meta? You know, what else is even available here? I mean, the set has been something we've seen. Doesn't look like they want to lean that way, though, as Syndra is going to be the choice.
This is one of those I called it, but I didn't really want to call it type of situations.
Yeah.
We have seen a lot of Syndra. She wins a lot, and...
Hey, look who it is.
Yeah. How did you know?
I have a great read on the meta right now. Yeah, I just, you know, I had my list and I crossed out 4 names, and then there was the 5th one. So that's the one that came out.
Come on, Keen. Pick the Aurelia. We know you want to. Can also go for Gangplank here, which Gangplank I would actually not mind here. I think that while it does provide you with kind of like an awkward lack of frontline, which is something that really carried Afreeca last time, I don't think there's any good tank that you can pick into Gnar at this point in time.
Hey.
Nailed it. It will be the Aurelia here. And that is a matchup that we've already seen how quickly it can get out of control, Valdez.
Yeah, for sure. Just especially in that solo 1v1, like we could have some insane pressure being put on there from Keen.
Oh.
And, you know, the one thing that you mentioned many times is like, you look at this draft from Afreeca, it's much harder to play than game number 1, right? So, you know, there are some things we really like from it, and then at the same time, I'm like, I hope they don't stumble along the way.
Yeah, I'm a simple man. I see a front-to-back teamfight comp that plays itself, and I'm like, you know, if you don't want Kia, I don't care what you pick. I'll have faith in you to execute it well. Like that's okay. You know, you get the benefit of the doubt. In this scenario, I think that you are actually fairly limited to a 4-1 composition. I don't actually think that your straight-up team fighting will be good enough, just because of like how the champions stack up against each other. Nidalee, Syndra, none of these are champions that are like super happy if they don't have a front line, and you're like kind of forced to 5v5. So then you're looking at Aurelia in the side lane. You do have really good like side lane pressure with Killer Instinct and the heroic entrance, right? So that's nice. But if Keen falls behind this game, I don't know how you win the game as Afreeca Freecs. And after like what felt like a super solid all-around team comp from Afreeca, this feels much more risky, and with Afreeca, risky is not good.
Yeah, so we'll see if they can be a bit more consistent with a riskier comp and try to match their play in game number 1. Whereas on the side of KT, you know, feels pretty standard. You know, there's not really anything out of the ordinary on this side. Zoe has seen some mixed success, right? You want to try to have some priority. You want to try to take down that mid-tier 1 turret. But you're up against a Syndra, so it's not going to be the easiest thing to put on that amount of pressure. I feel like the jungles can kind of just go even. I don't know if we'll see too much pressure up on the top side, which should be good for Keen.
My expectation here is, as we see Dread do now, you path from bot to top, and then you're just in a general vicinity, because Keen is definitely going to be looking to get the shove in. Maybe you can make a play of that, right? Maybe you can find an invade. I think that Nidalee, one of the reasons why she was always picked into the Graves is because she largely ignores the tankiness and the sustain that he brings with True Grit. And she farms as well as he does. This was, of course, before the introduction of champions like the Olaf, which used the 2-item power spike. That was pretty obscene on the previous patches really well. Or champions like Talia, that just cleared even faster as we also invade here.
Oh, look at the timing of this. It's literally perfect. I mean, as the Alistar moves away, in comes Afreeca, the flash at a hybrid already. Zeus is going to be next to flash away. And the fight over the red buff, you see Gideon doesn't want to let it go down. But the Ignite comes down, they want to pressure him away. And the Smite will come in from Dread, easily scooped up from him. And this is one way to get a very nice early lead.
I called bottom to top, not the way I quite expected it, Valdez. And as you said, what a beautiful late invade there from Afreeca. They've really, really been on point, and I'm really happy to see the LCK over the course of like all the games tonight really look for this early aggression, right? Now you path towards your own top side here as Dread. The one downside is that Keen won't have as much support as you otherwise would, but you're going to put the Graves in a very disadvantageous position right from the get-go. Nidalee is a champion so well. Look at that!
This is insane. Oh man, that's just like, you can't sustain against that kind of damage. The potion's already gone on Hybrid. He doesn't have flash. Any follow-up would be too dangerous. You're going to hit level 2 last, and he's got 0 CS.
I'm just perplexed by like this is Afreeca's early game, and we talk about it a lot. You know, like, oh, they have good early game. I think it's the same with Gen G, and then sometimes you actually see it in action, and you're like, okay, now I get what you mean. 0 minions for Hybrid. 0 Valdez.
0 to 12.
Level 1. He's 2 waves down.
Yeah, and he's gonna miss this entire wave, I think.
That lane is done. I think if the next one bounces as well, if they can't freeze it, it's a.
Looks like it is.
Oh.
Looks like it is in fact bouncing.
Oh no.
So, we do have also just another thing to add insult to injury at this point in time. 5-0 is Aurelia, and she's 5-0 against specifically Gnar. So talk about a very specific pocket pick counter in this matchup.
Oh, this is nice though, because this is one of the ways why Aurelia doesn't actually bring that much value if she's considerably behind. And Doran has that control from this lane right from the get-go. Of course, kind of going back to the fact that Dread was not in the general facility, so you can't just move up with impunity as...
Look at this play from Lens. Oh.
The sidestep, and then the double taunt. And then a Cathian. Oh.
A Cathian oof.
That is... Thank you, Velvet. Yes. A Cathian... Oof.
Yeah.
That is painful.
That's exactly what we saw there. Now... The bottom lane isn't, it doesn't look totally destroyed, even though it kind of is.
It's only a wave now. Hybrid got back in the game, and this kind of feeds my suspicion that it was not in fact a full bounce where Bang and Lehens can just freeze the wave. And I think that was a cannon when Hybrid went back, so maybe the cannon tanked a couple of tower shots. Not 100% certain, but we see Keen actually having a tough time in this matchup here, and Doran is someone who, as we've already pointed out, is like one of the few top laners where you're allowed to play now. You can do it. It's Kingen, it's Khan, it's Doran. But this is still a matchup that the moment the level 6s hit should be very Keen favored. We've seen examples today where it's like basically favored starting at level 2, level 3. That's not the case here. Keen should still be able to take control of this matchup though. Has gone for the Cull though, which I think is pretty interesting here.
Yeah. Definitely a bit greedy, whereas Doran essentially just goes straight for counter item. Executioner's Calling comes immediately out. We'll definitely chip away from some of that sustain in the trades. And yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that wave, or that lane rather, turns out, because it's kind of the total opposite from what we have seen before. Dread thinking about coming on in here. The Scout of the Week is going to land. The Spear is not flashed. But Yukao will finally flash over the wall to the safety of his jungler, Graves, who is up here in the river, just hanging out.
You know what that was, Valdez? That was verdant barrier value right there. That is...
Yeah, really was.
You get hit by a Scat of the Week and a subsequent Nidalee Spear, and it barely tickles you. Maybe, in a perfect world, like Dread and Fly can like hard all in there, use the Scatter, or use the Unleashed Power, like really put the pressure on, but you don't know. Where Gideon is, so I understand that they don't want to take that risk. One of the downsides, though, of what they've been doing with Gideon shadowing the lane there as well, is that Dread has actually built up an absurd amount of CS. And Keen freezing the wave here. Not entirely sure if he wants to hold that freeze or break it, push it back, and maybe open up some objectives, which is what we saw Bang do earlier.
Lehens is stealing the enemy Raptors here. Obviously, setting up for Dread to do exactly that, but Lehens ends up getting all of it. The smite also goes the way of Dread. Look at the 2-level difference in the jungle we have right now. Gideon actually does hit level 5 as I'm speaking. But certainly a really nice lead already going the way of Dread. They're invading on the red buff again. I mean, this is pretty relentless.
I think they can do this. Bang doesn't have killer instinct though.
Oh, good engage comes in. Nice taunt positioning from Lehens, but it does look like Afreeca needs to get out of here and quick. As they're just trying to survive. Fly still has his flash. Everybody is flashing on. As Yukal picks up 1 by 1. Here comes the teleport now from Keen as he's trying to get in there. Dread will be the first casualty, but Aurelio will be fantastic in this corridor. Able to pick up another kill there for Fly as well. And Afreeca will pick up a couple just for the 1 kill that KT got.
And as a whole, I'd say that's worth it. I think you can also get Prior here on the bot side, push in for another plate, and get also subsequent priority on the possible Dragon if you do want to go for that. And that actually went from okay to KT, for KT to like really, really bad the moment that the Radia came through. If you don't know the 0 to the Radia, which we saw the Doran try to do, as I'm sure we're going to see here in a little bit, it becomes so hard to play. So the problem here is you don't have killer instinct, right? Because normally you can get away with this play, because the moment you hit CC, Kai'Sa joins, but she's not there. So it's a 4 versus 3 in favor of KT, so you can't really win this. However, look at that. The trap placed is actually where the teleport comes through, so that's great presence of Might coming through there from Dread. And then Doran is a split second too early, or I'm not entirely sure, maybe it was just a flash from Keen at the right place at the right time, throw down the Vanguard's edge, and no one can get through that corridor.
Yeah, just able to get so much value in a team fight from the Aurelia, which is not always what we see, but definitely the case that time around. It was funny to see Bang just like farming casually as his team is desperately running away.
He was trying to hit 6, okay?
Exactly.
You know, he just, come on, Valdez. He wanted a killer instinct. He would have, but he couldn't.
He would have, potentially.
Because he was level 5.
He was desperately trying to hit it, and he's still gained himself a 20 CS lead, especially because of that little maneuver, trying to hit level 6 as much as possible. As fast as possible, rather. Exhaust comes in, but they're not going to force it. Fly very much down the lane already. He'll just be very safe. As we do have a little bit of a rotation up towards the Rift Herald, which has spawned about a minute ago. We'll see if either team does make a big play for it early on.
This is yet another case of, yes, I have faith in Dread, but also I would have really liked to see Moonstone. You're playing into people that are going to be stacking like mild MR to medium MR, and your space is just not really going to do that much. You have found like a tiny early game lead, but I don't think it's enough to say that you're snowballing. And you have a really great bursty source of AP damage in the Syndra. You're going to be looking for these longer skirmishes.
Nice try from Lance. He actually blocks all the damage with that aftershock.
Yeah.
And we're just starting the Rift Herald. All right. Everybody piling in now.
Bang isn't there.
Both of these teams want to find the action, and as you mentioned, Bang is not here, so KT, they do identify that. That's a big spear, and Keen's got a good angle for the Vanguard's edge. He's thinking about it, but the smite is going to go the way of Dread, as it lives with like 56 health. That is unfortunate, and we immediately have a pause.
Ooh, that's a timely pause there.
Let's get that. Okay, we're back in the game.
It's a pretty key moment.
Keen, get the, yeah, okay, he got it. The flash comes in, and we're just right into the action. Lehens is just dead, and Doran gets a massive knock into the wall. That might just save them as Fly just runs in and dies. Keen trying to salvage the situation. That's a huge spear, though, as the kill will go the way of Bang, and Dread somehow is still alive. Another spear lands. What can't this guy do? Well, he can't live, apparently. Yukal is just going to kill him, and at the end of the day, Afreeca still get a massive lead from all of this.
Incredible that, like, we joke around, but these players are sitting in this pause. They're, like, in the midst of focus, right? You can't discuss, you just need to be ready, keep that level of energy, and they do it excellently. When Doran got that really big smash, I was like, okay, this might be bad. And then Fly, as you said, literally just, like, walked into the brush for no apparent reason. But as it turns out now, that was actually a big brain play because it keeps the fight going for a little bit longer. So this is where, you know, this is where we're still good. This was all okay. You want to get on top of Afreeca here. You know you have a man advantage, and the longer you wait, the bigger the opportunity that Bank can Killer Instinct in. I don't think you can actually get away with trying to contest here, because what you do here as KT, you kite back, and then subsequently you try to funnel through this choke point. And the only reason that it's not an immediate loss is because Doran is doing his very best to try and turn this one around. And now you're in a situation where Keen with that dodge on the stun, if you get hit there, you're just instantly dead. As I was really excited for Jet to get this as well, but he's not, thanks to a really nice flash from Yukal, and just for safety, using of the stopwatch.
Yeah.
But as you say, gets picked up, a lot of gold under the big carries, and we wanted Aurelia to be fed. Aurelia is currently fed, and we also see Bang with a 3-0 kill score. And Afreeca looking to do a repeat of game number 1 here, Valdez.
Yeah. When you've got a Kai'Sa that's 303, you're going to be feeling pretty good, right? In any circumstance, it's just pretty insane. He's going to be incredibly fed. And I feel like it's a little bit harder to get caught out as the Kai'Sa. Generally, you're kind of waiting for your moments to hop in there. And you kind of fight more on your terms more of the time, more often than not.
We get yet another fun soul.
Oh,
I'm really proud of everyone tonight. You know, we banded together. We thought it couldn't be done. We thought Atlas would be too strong.
He is very strong.
Yeah.
But apparently not strong enough. His power has waned a little bit here tonight.
It has limits.
This is game number 5, and we have not had a single Cloud Soul.
Truly
really amazing.
Day.
Well, that's just good news. Just means we get more action, more fighting over these Drakes. And they really want this bottom turret, too. It's so early on in the game. They've got a bunch of plates in the mid lane, 3. They're looking for their 4th down on the bottom side.
Oh, you want it so bad. You want the gold.
Oh, I think they'll definitely get it. What's going on up here? Keen has a red buff. For some reason, all the Aurelias in this in the game today have red buff for some reason. And so does Keen. And they're actually even trying to chip away at this turret. They're not going to get that last plate, but it's okay. Just hanging out. Yukal has been doing pretty nicely. Note that, you know, he was the one player that did survive on the back of that last fight. And he is scaling up quite nicely here.
Also a big fan of the itemization from Keen here, considering that the main person that will pay attention to you is Gideon. Going for the Tabis there gets you so much damage reduction. Also because, of course, Doran is going to be looking consistently for that out-of-attack harassment. You reduce the damage from that. As
first person, but he actually has long hair, so it makes more sense for him. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Future.
I hope not.
Haven't pushed the boundaries that far yet. But
maybe one day.
A man can dream.
Is that your dream? Really?
It is now. I just thought of it.
Oh. As let's, I mean, at this point, you know, maybe you just tuned in, you were like, I want to see some gameplay, and this is the first gameplay you see. Current game state is Afreeca Freecs, yet again, has a lead here. They were able to get the better end of that skirmish, the subsequent plates, and the first turret blood, meaning that they are now in a position where this composition can actually work, because we were a little bit scared, I think both of us, coming into this, because it is kind of hard to execute, right? You need to play for one, you need to actually have pressure on your side lane with Keen. So far, so good.
Yeah, it's going really well for them. They had a very clean game number 1, where pretty much they had a comp that was very front to back. It was very hard to mess up, and they shouldn't have gotten super far ahead early game, but they got a nice little lead, and they were just able to snowball that into a very clean win. As this time, we felt like it would be a lot harder to pilot this comp, but they're doing pretty well with it so far.
And I think that this is also, up until this point, don't want to take credit away from Afreeca, but I feel like this is also the point up till where the comp is like, you're pretty sure what to do, right? Like these first 15 minutes is always where they excel. You have a lot of skirmishing power, which we saw them use to great effect. And now you're at the point in the game where it actually gets kind of rough, right? Like the map starts to open up, your effective vision and control of the map kind of fades away, especially if you're KT here. And it's way easier to set up traps. It's way harder to find reliable pressure in side lanes. And I love to see how KT are going to manage this one.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what they have up their sleeve in terms of responses to the current game state, as Bang is far and ahead of everybody in this game, including his teammate Keen there, almost 2,000 gold ahead. And it makes sense. I mean, he has nearly the most CS in the game. That one actually goes to you, Cal, funnily enough. He's been very clean with the CSing, but he's also 3 kills, 3 assists. So
it's a bit enthusiastic at Bang, you know. he can, like, I get that you started
can.
off. Maybe you guys like, guys, do we want to take this? And in case they say yes, you already started. There's not really a big risk there with the vision they have. But Dread says, no, I need to base. I want to go for Drake. And that is definitely the correct call here. These fresh bases coming through from Afreeca means that they do hit the spikes. Not loving this from Keen. I understand the value of pushing out the lane, but it does mean you need to either use your teleport, or I guess you can make it if you just straight up sprint towards the bot side. However, that is assuming that KT contests, and it looks like they're just letting this dragon go.
Yeah. It is just a singular cloud, but it gets you one stack closer to the soul, which I feel like is going to be more important given the case that it's either a mountain or an infernal soul again.
Yeah.
Crazy how many of those we're getting today. That's okay. Voidseeker does land, but Bang isn't going to do anything too rash at this point in time. His team is taking the Cloud Drake, and that's going to be enough for them.
And the good thing for this, about this for Afreeca, is that if you're in the opposite situation where these early Drakes go to KT, getting pressure on the silence hard as they're going to go for this.
Lance is doing a great job of keeping his teammate alive. Fly getting a little bit caught up there on the top side. And Lance, with the flash, is able to get out pretty much unscathed.
It's really interesting because that's effectively a deficit that you're playing from.
Oh, this is going to be a lot of burst. Oh, he misses the paddle star, but he's still going to die. Doesn't matter. Oh, and now Bang is in an awkward spot here. Actually, he's going to turn the tables here as the Wallop does miss. He's going to have to gnar Bang away, which is definitely pretty annoying here for Doran.
And this is the type of forces that you're looking for. I don't really get the play from Afreeca Freecs. You got your Drake, right? Like, you don't really need to try and force a 2v3, 2v4 on top side. But I do go for it, even with some like slight mis-executions. Is not something that Afreeca Freecs can really punish with the lack of damage, and Bang just chilling in the mid lane. But as you said, like, that is a 2-level lead that you have here on the Kai'Sa, which honestly is a pretty big problem. The second Herald, and this is starting to feel a lot like game number 1. Big difference, of course, here is the comp, because as I was saying earlier, before we saw the kind of questionable play on top side, the good thing about this for Afreeca is that if you're at soul point, you don't even need to take the dragon, but if you have pressure in the side lane, you can actually make it work as maybe collapse,
okay.
But they want to go for it.
Yeah, response teleport, but now Dread is in such an awkward spot here. He's going to flash away, and in it comes. Keen is getting deep onto the front line of KT, and Hybrid is totally isolated on the bottom side. He's going to have to dash away, but now they're just totally routed. KT, they're going to have to run away from this one. Only Zeus is going to get caught here. Gideon is just running straight at the Nidalee. Not sure about that, buddy, because you're just going to get chopped down. And the rest of KT will just have to run home with their tail between their legs. The Baron is available. 20 minutes just passed, and it looks like they want to go for it.
And Afreeca Freecs are playing like the team that we thought they could be, right at the beginning of the split, and we haven't really seen that from all this often. And don't forget, this is a must-win for Afreeca. Like, there is a world in which they still make playoffs, and getting a quick 2-0 victory over KT, like they would be able to right here, is definitely something you want to go for. You can't face check that, right? Like, you have no one on the map, or on your side of the map rather. You knew they were like still in a general vicinity.
Yeah.
Just no reason.
Fly nearly saved his life too.
Yeah.
He actually scattered the Zoe back. And Dread does a really nice job of just surviving here. Everybody wants to pile in, as you can see, and then they're just able to turn it around with a really nice Vanguard's Edge.
And it's also important that Hybrid is just completely zoned here by Lahans. Bang then is able to immediately follow up. I'm actually positively surprised that we don't see Bang go a little bit more aggro, something that he has been doing. As I don't.
Gideon's like, let's do the Gromp.
Yeah.
Not sure about that one.
I am sure. I don't like it. Like, that is just straight up not it, as we'd like to say. And what we're seeing here thus far from KT is a lot of errors that I feel like they didn't make in the first couple of weeks. And on the same side, Afreeca Freecs actually playing super well. And straight up 5v5s are kind of a nightmare with this comp, but if you have these drawn out skirmishes where it's more like a 2v2 and a 3v3 and a 1v1 spread out across the jungle, the mobility, the hero's entrance, the killer instincts, the mobility of champions like Irelia and Nidalee is so easy to abuse.
Yeah, absolutely is. As speaking of Nidalee, Dread has just been slowly but surely getting pretty fed in this one. He's already up at 2 items. And he's been a real menace. He's just gotten so much value in this game, even though he's not like super carrying like the last game. As we do have a little bit of a 1-on-2 situation here. Meganar coming on in. The Vanguard's edge onto Gideon. And with the teleport coming in, KT just saying, nope, we're getting out of here. Even the collateral damage just to gain even more space away from them.
And that's 2-man invested. Yes, it is a teleport coming out for Fly here, but you basically invest so much resources trying to like kill the Irelia, which then you not only you don't kill, but now you get free shove in that bot side. You can probably also rotate over to mid here, which looks like what Afreeca will be doing. Although the wave is quite far away, but the main thing is it's such a soul point, fellas, and if Keen can almost 1v2 without a mythic and without an infernal soul, I don't want to see what happens when you don't have that.
Yeah.
Because that's a problem. Like a really, really big one.
Yeah. Speaking of big things, we have a pretty large gold advantage right now for Afreeca, and a lot of that was just gained from the Baron power play, right? They got a bunch of objectives from this. Obviously, the last fight that led into the Baron as well was pretty big for lining their pockets. And that's just going to mean that this Infernal Drake does go their way. And man, they have so many threats. I mean, pretty much everybody is going to love that Infernal that does come in here.
Because this is also one of those compositions where you're not really looking at, you know, maybe we want some tankiness, we want some sustaining fights. Literally everyone, besides Lahens, you know, he's the odd one out, just blows people up. Right, and really fast and really effectively, even without an Infernal Soul. And this is something that I think I kind of hinted towards earlier, but explained rather poorly, so I'm going to try and do it again, and please hold me to it if I do it mediocrely again. The fact that Afreeca Freecs doesn't have to play for Drakes means that you have way more side lane pressure, right? Because normally what happens often in these type of situations is you're 1-3-1 composition, in this case with the Irelia, you don't really want a team fight, but if you're behind on Drakes, you're just 100% forced into contesting those objectives. Because as Afreeca, you have such a big lead, you can be in a situation where, like, KT, they have to fight for every single Drake, and you just play it really slow, you just keep them there for as long as you can. In the meanwhile, Keen just gets a free inhib, right? Gets a couple of towers, and there's not really anything you can do about it as KT.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, that was much better.
Right, thank you. Really
absolutely. You see everybody on Afreeca wants to get in on this, but not going to commit. There's no objectives on the map currently. Still got a minute 30 until the Baron does come up, and 3.5 minutes until the Infernal. And so Afreeca are just kind of milling about, seeing what they can see. Maybe they can get some picks. Doran's like, I can't even push up past my turret at this point.
I don't even think the turret really keeps him safe for a long time, Val. Yeah. That's a low turret right there.
Bang's getting in there. He's going for the 1v1. He nearly just chops his head off. Basically did. Body's still running away.
This is the point in the game where you're like, yeah, Afreeca has this fed. That's good to know. And honestly, I will not allow myself to get excited about Afreeca after you know, like 1.5 good game at this point in time. But still, I think if you're an Afreeca fan, this is like an extenuation of what we've seen from them in early games in that past couple of series, right? And like what we've seen from them throughout the split, and the completely lackluster macro that comes afterwards that basically sets in around the 15-minute mark, doesn't seem to be present tonight. Now we like that.
Yeah. I also thought that their series against DRX was pretty decent, you know. This one seems to be a bit cleaner, but also DRX are just, at the moment, a stronger team.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe that made it a little bit more difficult for them in their last series against DRX. But either way, you know, even though they did have a 4-series losing streak prior to this one, maybe they're on the up and up, you know, just better play in the last series, and now obviously this one has been quite clean across the board. Could be a sign of good things to come for Afreeca.
And this is one of the objectives we were talking about. Oh my god, bang. There's one Q.
Yeah. This is usually what happens in solo queue, except it's like 13-0. And then she just like one-shots people.
I'm not going to ask you again if you're okay. Cause, like,
No,
like
yeah, I'm fine.
We've been over it.
Totally fine.
Tonight. And this is perfect, right? This is the full one we were talking about earlier on. You have so much threat. Keem, level 16, right? Legitimately, I think you need to send 2 people no matter what. And he knows that, so he plays respectfully, and that allows Afreeca to just take complete control of this Baron pit. And they actually have a considerable amount of birds, especially when bolstered by that Infernal Drake, which is probably going to be an Infernal Soul soon. I'm impressed by Afreeca, and it's not something I thought I'd say tonight. I thought this was going to be kind of a slugfest, right?
Yeah.
I can see Afreeca win, but not in this fashion.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I still haven't yet. Let me make that very clear. I want to jinx it.
Still a chance. Absolutely. Yeah, no. Coming into this series, I was like, yeah, I kind of give my edge to KT, you know? But I was definitely wrong.
And that is as someone, like, after Casper Cup, you know, I was talking to Wolven, like, no, like, Afreeca's really good, guys. They're going to do amazingly. I was wrong, but maybe they can prove me right after all. It was Drake in 15 again.
Yeah, you were just too ahead of your time, Chronicler.
I really appreciate you.
Too early.
The benefit of the doubt.
You had to wait like a couple months, and then you would have been.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah. KT are just going to run at the Baron. They're down almost 10,000 gold. They're losing their inhibitor turret. And they just say, let's do the Baron.
You're going to get poked down.
I mean, Doran is at like 2/3 health, and he's losing. Lahen's able to proc that Aftershock right on time. Doran desperately trying to get an engage going. Inhibitor looks like it's going to go down, and Doran is just super low. Here's the Vanguard's edge, and, well, it misses everybody. But that doesn't matter, as Afreeca are just going to continue on here. KT with seemingly nowhere to run. Even Lahen's is coming around the bends here. Really fantastic flash taunt. Going to catch the 2 of them. Hybrid not even able to pick up the 1 kill. And even though 2 members of KT will survive, Afreeca now 11,000 gold ahead, will look to actually push and potentially end.
And it was also the lane state in which Keen left that bot side, right? Like, he had a huge stack of minions there. The next wave came in soon. Even with his teleport, they were able to pick up the bot lane inhibitor. So even if they would have lost Baron, they would have gotten a good trade.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's the Galleon to Alistair effect. Of course, 12,000 gold does help. As Afreeca, they're just going to try to end here. He's just baiting him right now. Maybe he can get a taunt too. He's just trying to up his damage numbers at this point as his fly. Oh, Lahen's died. He actually died. Doesn't matter. 2-0 for Afreeca.